Hello and welcome. This is Kevin, also known as AWOL, and today we have another blindside creation pattern that I worked out. It was pattern 87531 on BraceletBook, and I really, going into this, thought this was going to be like so hard to make. Really hard. Because there's so many zigzags, it's so over the top. But it turned out it wasn't that bad. I did have to follow the pattern 100% all the time, make sure I'm where I'm supposed to be. But having like just one of each of the colors, like 6 colors plus a background, meant that there was a lot of being able to tell where I was at any given point, didn't have to cross out anything as I went along. And try to make the flow a little bit easier. I would work out what needed to be done to be able to make these longer straight rows. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, getting that part to kind of jive, a little bit tricky, but it works out really cool. And mind you, I don't know if I really kind of noticed this on the pattern making, but I had kind of thought that all the colors would make the rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. I thought that it would make that, and then the other half, when it crosses over the other way, that it would somehow be wrong. But it turns out it works out perfectly. It's the red stays next to the purple on one side of it, and then when it rotates around to the next one, the yellow is next to the green. Right, so the flow of the colors stays together. It just changes which sequence that the rainbow goes in. And for that, I absolutely love it. I think that just makes it awesome to realize that, like, somehow mathematically this all just kind of works out in some kind of unusual way. And I don't know how I didn't pick up on that so much on the pattern, or maybe I did and I forgot about it because there was a couple days in between while I was sick that I kind of, maybe during that period I forgot. I don't know, but yeah, I was really kind of happy with the way it turned out. There's no simple segmenting method for the whole thing. I think if you were to study and try to figure out what I was doing, like I said before, my big goal was to kind of build out what was necessary to be able to bring the longer rows across. And that's like whatever that it took to get that to happen. That's what I was working with. So yeah, that's it is definitely intermediate or possibly advanced as far as the difficulty level for this thing. Oh, the end of my string got in a knot. That's why it paused for a second there. But yeah, it was something. I didn't have really any mistakes. I did have a couple times where the ends of my strings, while pulling up and through, got tangled. Oh, as far as the length of string, so I use 1/3 of a skein, which is my normal, right? All the colors, all of them get used an awful lot. The black strings, not as much. So if you're gonna do this, make sure you don't skimp on the colorful ones because they get used like all the time. And yeah, that's just a heads up. My tails are as long as I wanted them to be, but honestly, I don't think it could have made them longer if I wanted to. So there you go. Like that's a thing. But overall, I'd say it was kind of fun. I guess I lean really hard on bracelet styles that are nice and easy because I like that. I like the whole not stressing about it and just, you know, having a relaxing experience tying knots. And this one definitely had me a little more on edge, trying to get it going, making sure I didn't make mistakes. So a little bit more difficult, but that said, the challenge was there. It was fun. I did enjoy seeing the whole thing kind of coming together, and it doesn't repeat itself that often. You only have like the yellow hitting all the way to the edge 3 times. So when you completed an area, when you got the long row to cross over, that only happens 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That only happens 6 times in the whole bracelet. So like every time you accomplished one of those, it was like, oh, that was good. It took, so this is a 14 string bracelet, and it took about an hour and 20 minutes to make, which is long considering like a 12 string bracelet I can do in about an hour. I do think it took a little longer because there's a lot more reading the pattern and trying to make sure that mistakes aren't happening, and it was, the difficulty level and all, there's, less segment knotting, things like that. I think that's what kind of slowed it down a bit, but whatever, it's still not terrible, overall. Yeah, I do definitely like how it kind of came out. That's all I can say there. Oh, so the original was just like 2 faded colors intertwining with each other. I think the rainbow looks a whole lot better. I think it, I don't know why the original artist hadn't thought of that, because, yeah, I think the rainbow is a lot cooler, especially with the hot colors on one side and the cold colors on the other. You could kind of mix it up so that way it was a mixture of both. But I think the way it's set up, I think that really worked out really, really well. So, yeah. Again, I went with black. I just thought for some reason that would be a cooler background than the white. But again, I'm second guessing myself. So if you try it, maybe try it with the white background and see if that's any more interesting than this is. Because I'd love to see it. I am genuinely curious as to how that might have turned out. Oh, we've got to be past, well, right around the halfway point at least. So let me thank my YouTube members for making this possible. And checking where the middle is. I go through an awful lot of string, and it's with their help that I'm able to do all these kind of projects and stuff. Plus, it's really motivating to know that there are people who believe in the channel. So thank you guys so much for that. And yeah, I'm gonna keep trying to make more cool stuff as we go. Yeah, we're kind of Blindsided Creations for the month, I think. Even though we started kind of a little bit last month. But I think it's a fun challenge, and I kind of want to see where it goes. So there we go. We'll see what comes from all of this. Yeah. Just watching, like, I got it on the screen. I'm watching what I had done, and like the thinking of like, okay, what did I do? What can I tell you about? It's so hard sometimes to kind of, make sure that you're in the right road, that you're going the right way, that, yeah, it was a doozy of a pattern. Like, I don't want to make it sound like, I had such a good time and it was easy and get you in the wrong kind of frame of mind to where, you think that this isn't that big of a challenge. It really was a challenge. And yeah, pretty much every knot I was looking up at the pattern on the computer screen in front of me and making sure, okay, so this one goes this way and then this way, and okay, almost every knot I had to account for like that, just to make sure that I wasn't going to have, mistakes, or that strings weren't going to be where I needed them to be. Yeah, it was that. It just adds a level of stress to everything. Yeah. But that said, it comes out to being such a pretty bracelet. It really, it is a real stunning bracelet. And I get the whole 14 strings versus 12. It kind of needs that extra little bit of space in order to get the curves to come out nice. So yeah, I probably wouldn't try this any smaller. It would be interesting to see it doubled up though. I can imagine if you do a couple of these together, because whenever you double a pattern, you get one extra row down the middle. So let that be the black strings, which, you know, there's an abundance of. Let that be a black row to separate them out, and then you'd have two twisting, you know, rope like whatever's working their way downwards. I think that would be really kind of a neat pattern. It'd be crazy difficult to actually pull off because of how you have to just do little segments to unlock other parts of the bracelet. So it'd be really hard to do. So yeah, I don't see myself actually doubling it or anything, but like if you did enough of these and made a bag out of it, it would be gorgeous. It would absolutely be gorgeous. It just has to be somebody who really enjoys intense challenges to make that happen. I have in the past. I'll admit, you know, like I've done like the big project in that, you know, and just had it super challenging. But I think trying to do this in repetitive things, yeah, you're just going to be able to work at a little bit at a time, and trying to sort it all out really hard, really hard. Be pretty, but it'd be really hard. That's kind of about it, guys. I'm getting over the cold. I'm starting to feel much better. I'm hoping that maybe that means I can get a little bit more done. Maybe I'll set myself up with a more challenging bracelet next. I don't know. Come up with something interesting to do. But yeah, this thing turned out all right. I like it. Hopefully you like it. Hopefully you guys are you know, inspired and stuff by this. Oh, I think it's getting to the end. I think this is like the last row thing. Yeah, I'm pulling the strings up to the side. Yeah, it's totally coming to the end. So cool, I made it. Got all the way through the video. Hopefully you guys are enjoying these. Leave me a comment, you know, even if it's that you hated it. Just let me know what's going on. Let me know how I can improve. I'm really trying to keep on the daily videos, even when I'm not feeling well. So I know that the last couple ones might have sounded a little bad. Didn't mean to, but yeah, it kind of happens. I'll be back tomorrow with a new pattern, and kind of excited. It's another Blindside creation, so I don't know what I'm getting into. All right, guys, have a good one, and as always, don't get your strings in a bunch.